This morning's opening words are entitled Community in Action by Studs Terkel. My own belief, my personal beliefs, came into being during the most traumatic moment in American history, the Great American Depression. I was 17 at the time, and I saw on the sidewalks pots and pans and bedstands and mattresses. A family had just been evicted, and there was an individual cry of despair multiplied by millions. But that community had a number of people on that very block who were electricians and plumbers and carpenters, and they appeared that very evening, that evening of the eviction, and moved these household goods back into the flat where they had been. They turned on the gas, they fixed the plumbing. It was a community in action, accomplishing something. And this is my belief too, that it is the community in action that accomplishes more than any individual does, no matter how strong he may be. The individual discovers his strength as an individual because he has, along the way, discovered others share his feelings. He is not alone, and thus a community is formed. You might call it a prescient community or the prophetic community. It's always been there. And I must say, it's always paid its dues too. The community of the 30s and the 40s and the Depression, fighting for the rights of laborers and the rights of women and the rights of all people who were different from the majority, always paid their dues. But it was their presence, as well as their prescience, that made for whatever progress we have made. And so it happens to be my belief, and I'll put it into 3 simple words: community in action. Jan, would you do us the pleasure of lighting our chalice this morning? And those of you on Zoom are encouraged to light your own chalice at home. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lit the flame within us and our community. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind our remote participants to leave yourselves muted. However, we want you and whomever's with you to sing as big and loud as you like. Let's make this a joyous experience. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the opening hymn, There's a River Flowing in My Soul, number 1007.
And it's
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We are glad that you have joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land that the Salinan and the Chumash indigenous people historically inhabited. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. Let us respect their legacy and protect their history as we occupy this sacred space. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds, as well as community leaders to speak at our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a variety of topics and areas of interest that connect with the UU 7 principles and 6 values, which are justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. Today's service centers around interdependence. We honor the independent web of all existence with reverence for great web of life, and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. My name is Art Gillingham, and I am your worship associate for this morning's service. Hi, Art. I would like to extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. We're glad you have joined us this morning. And I don't see any guests and visitors. Well, if you're not on our mailing list, please visit the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so that we can keep you informed about all of our activities. Members and friends, please check out what's happening. The e-blast sent to you every week. This is a great way to keep up to date with our latest news. If you wish to see this or any of the past Zoom services, the recordings can be found on the UCCC website and on Facebook. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone. The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now recite the UUCC affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another. We set aside this time for brief announcements that will be of interest to our community and our friends. Please be succinct when announcing upcoming events or updates. If you have an announcement, please raise your hand. When Randy or I call on you, come up to the podium and unmute yourself and speak.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I see some friends from Mexico over here. Two announcements. So one is that tomorrow at 4:30 on Zoom is our monthly worship committee meeting. So those of you who are members of the worship committee, please be there. And if you would like to join us, you're very welcome to, the rest of you. Just send me a quick note on email and I'll send you the link. And my second announcement is that we are having a concert coming up very shortly on February 7th. 4 Shillings Short will be here, right in this spot, doing a concert Friday night at 7 o'clock. And it's free will offering. And they've been here before, and they're just a great group, and they play like almost 200 instruments. It's really crazy. So, and they sing all kinds of music besides Gaelic music, and so it'll be a fun concert. So make plans to be there. And then that following Sunday, they're going to be up here in the pulpit doing a sermon. Okay.
Hello. The Chinese New Year celebration scheduled for this afternoon has been postponed. The lion dancers' costumes are made of paper. So it'll be in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from today at 2 o'clock at the Green Space Creekside Reserve. It's about an hour-long event, and the Cal Poly lion dancers are wonderful. But before that, next Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock, Green Space is sponsoring a talk about about the Coastal Discovery Center and the marine sanctuary that we have here. It'll be by the coordinator of the Discovery Center, and it is going to be, well, we will be going on a deep dive into what makes the coast so special, this coast. We'll see the underwater canyon and listen to whales and see what we can of a rare octopus.
Is it here?
Oh, yes, it's here.
Good morning. Today is the fourth Sunday of 2025, and we're collecting for the food bank. So please keep that in mind during the offertory. And I want to let you know that we are going to do everything in our power to protect our clients in San Simeon. I know there's a lot of very fearful households up there right now. We're absolutely not going to request any kind of identifying information or address because I know they're afraid, and we want them to continue to make use of our services. So, thank you.
So our Vice President, Susan Landau, had to resign, just conflict of time and stuff. So that leaves the board available to appoint a new vice president, and we surveyed the board, current board, and Nancy Tolan volunteered to be it, which leaves, and it was accepted by the rest of the board members as a majority, and that leaves the member-at-large position open. Okay, so we want to present that to the membership, and I believe the only requirement is, requirement is you have to be a member for a year, okay, before you can come on. So if you're interested, which means attending every board meeting, okay, let me know, okay, and let me know this week if you can. And also there's going to be a board retreat on February 27th, not an everybody retreat, but all the committee members, committee chair members will be invited, okay? Just so put that on your calendar if you're a committee chair or a board member. Thank you.
I have the privilege and the pleasure of working with my longtime friend Vivian Curry, who owns Raw Curry Yoga, which is in the Galleria building in the middle of town, right next to the library, and the upstairs area in the middle. And we will be presenting, well, on the winter solstice, we presented the first in a series of the Wheel of the Year, which is the equinoxes and solstices and the days that fall exactly in between. So every 6 weeks, we're doing a sound healing chakra activation meditation that includes Tibetan bowls and crystal bowls and drums and chimes and all kinds of chanting and deep meditation to center and ground and keep our purposes clear during a time when we need it. This next one is going to be, we'll do two, one on the 1st and one on the 2nd of February, starting at 1 o'clock. If anybody is interested in participating in this, please connect with me before I go. Anyway, thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andy Fagan, convener of our Religious Education Committee, with a reminder that this Wednesday, the last Wednesday of the month, we're going to meet here in the sanctuary at 4 p.m. on Wednesday for our book discussion group. The book that we've moved into is Sources of Our Faith, a lovely book that has inspirational readings in it. We read out loud within the circle and discuss what we've read from 4 to 5:15 this Wednesday.
Randy, do we have anyone on Zoom?
No hands here. Back to you, Art.
Thank you. Next week, our UUCC president, Dolores Mira, who has just come back from Mexico with a tan, will host a congregational circle called The Future of UUCC. Watch in your email for the list of topics to be covered for this service.
Art, if I could interrupt, I'm going to talk to that list for a minute.
Sure, please come on down.
Okay, now I'm switching hats to your Secretary of the Board of Trustees. At the previous board meeting, the board chose 4 topics that we would like to discuss at that congregational gathering next Sunday. As Art said, they'll be in an email blast, but just so you can begin to think about it, about caring, how best to address members in need. We'd like your feedback on that. Social justice, what do we want to focus on? Land acknowledgement is the current version that we read each Sunday. Meaningful, are there actions that we should be taking? And then the 4th topic that we'd like to get feedback on is the Sunday worship service, what you find satisfying and what you think might be worth changing. So please think about those things. If you can't be here next Sunday, you can write to the board and with Dolores and with your thoughts. And then if you can be here, please be ready to share them. Thanks.
Well, thank you for the suggestions, Andy. Joys and Concerns is a time for sharing personal celebrations, sorrows, reflections, or gratitude. It is a time for community building. Please exercise brevity. Thank you. The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have been unspoken today, but are deeply felt in this community. The first reading today is a poem titled Choose to Believe the World by Rebecca Ann Parker. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, that reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, to bind up the wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question. What will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty and grace and mystery abide. There is an embrace of kindness that encompasses all life, even yours. And while there is injustice, anesthesia, or evil, there moves a holy disturbance, a benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting. That which is sacred will not be defiled. Those who bless the world we live, their life, as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us can save the world. Together, that's another possibility. Let us enter into a place of serenity and peace where you are one with the spiritual being. Be at peace within your space, where the absence of all that is temporal is its most cherished gift. Let us enter the stillness. May there be peace within ourselves and within our community. The second reading is a poem entitled St. Francis and the Sow by Galwell Kinnell. The bud stands for all things, even for those things that don't flower. For everything flowers from within of self-blessing, though sometimes it is necessary to reteach a thing its loveliness, to put a hand on its brow with a flower and retell it in words and in touch, it is lovely, until its flowers again from within of self-blessing. As St. Francis put his hand on the creased forehead of the sow and told her in works and in touch blessings of the earth on the sow, and the sow began remembering all the way down her thick length, from the earthen snout all the way through the fodder and slops to the spiritual curl of the tail, from the hard spinniness spiked out from the spine, down through the great broken heart, to the sheer blue milky dreaminess spurting and sluttering from the 14 teats into the 14 mouths sucking and blowing beneath them. The long, perfect loveliness of the sow. Please stand in body or spirit and sing Find the Stillness, number 352.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me.
Today's talk is titled Self-Blessing, to be delivered by the Reverend Rod Richards. Rod is the minister of the Unitarian Universalist San Luis Obispo, having been called to this ministry in 2012. He served as vice president of the UU Ministers Association from 2019 to 2022. As he looks forward towards retirement, he is deeply grateful to all those who faithfully keep the flame of this living tradition burning, and he is honored to have served as an ordained UU minister for over 20 years. The world is in desperate need of the best we can offer. May we rise to the task with humility, compassion, and courage. Rod.
Thank you, Rick. Hello, everybody. It is good to be here. Everything flowers from within of self-blessing, though sometimes it is necessary to reteach a thing its loveliness. Self-blessing. I have to admit that I was a little uneasy with this title for my sermon today. Self-blessing sounds a little self-ish, self-absorbed. With all that is happening in our community, in our country, and across the world, this is hardly a time to be focused on oneself, right? And who am I to bless myself? Now, some of this uneasiness comes from my background, Midwestern, Scandinavian, Lutheran stock. We might be described as self-deprecating, self-effacing, sometimes self-erasing. We would not likely engage in anything called self-blessing. We do our best to blend in. It is polite in the normal course of events and in daily encounters with other people to do our best to make others believe that we are not actually there at all. No, don't mind me. You just go on about your business. I don't need a thing. Don't make a fuss. But it is also true that this apparent humility that we exhibit is not always gentle and kind. This humility is not always even, humble. It can sometimes take on a more combative tone. If my ancestors wrote a self-help book, which they would never do because writing a self-help book sounds downright selfish, and if you thought half as much about other people as you do yourself, the world would be a better place. But if they did write a self-help book, it would not be entitled, I'm okay, you're okay. It would be something more like, I'm not okay, but you're dang sure not okay either, no matter what you think. And with a title like that, you probably wouldn't really need to read the book, and who wants to waste all that time with a book anyway? I heard the famous Bible verse many times, love your neighbor as yourself, though it was not seen as an affirmation of love for oneself, but rather was translated as you should love your neighbor as much as you already obviously love yourself. So it has taken a while for me to untangle selfishness from loving oneself and to see the direct connection between loving oneself and loving one's neighbor in the widest sense of the word. That lesson began some time ago. I don't know how many of you have read All I Really Need to Know, I Learned in Kindergarten, or how many know that the author Robert Fulghum was a Unitarian Universalist minister for 22 years. This led me to consider writing a follow-up. Things I never wanted to know but learned anyway in junior high. Some of those things, difficult lessons, have served me well. Often witnessing and sometimes suffering through bullying, I began to understand that though this behavior appeared to be enacted by people who were very sure of themselves, it actually arose from a lack of self-confidence, from insecurity, and sometimes self-hatred. This was a very satisfying revelation at the time. It didn't change their behavior at all, but I remember being happy knowing that quite possibly they felt miserable, which doesn't say a whole lot for my capacity for compassion at the time. The deeper revelation waiting for me was recognizing that wishing them misery, delighting in whatever cosmic punishment I could conjure in my imagination, or any misfortune they may suffer in reality, all of that arose from my own insecurity, my own lack of self-confidence. When I feel miserable about myself, I often spread misery or desire it for others. When I feel rotten about myself, wittingly or unwittingly, I tend to make or attempt to make other people feel rotten about themselves. When I lose sight of the beauty within myself, it is easy to dismiss the beauty that lies within you. Whereas, if I can nurture clear-eyed compassion for myself, it becomes a source of compassion for others. And that's the thing. I am not, I am talking about self-blessing today, not because I want to turn away from the world and toward myself. I am talking about self-blessing today because in engaging with this world, in seeking to repair what is being broken every day, I don't want to spread misery. There's enough of that happening. Because if I am to let my light shine, and I believe we all must let our lights shine, not in any sappy or sentimental way, but as a means of survival and an act of solidarity, if I am to let my light shine, I must believe it exists. I must uncover it. I must come to know it and to know myself, and dare I say it, to love myself. If we are to resist the ugliness that is unleashed in this world, we must reacquaint ourselves with the beauty within us, among us, and around us. We are here to abet creation and to witness to it, writes Annie Dillard in a passage contained in our hymnal, to notice one another's beautiful face and complex nature. And that can sound like a pretty sentiment, but this practice is not simply about aesthetic appreciation nor a feel-good community exercise, but so that we can nurture the capability to notice beauty, to celebrate it, to call it forth when it is hiding, to defend it when it is being threatened, to sing one another songs when they have been forgotten, to bless ourselves and one another, and to bless the world, a world full of people that are sorely in need of blessing. And while my Midwestern Scandinavian Lutheran roots may understandably question the notion that I should think that I can bless the world, Unitarian Universalist theologian and scholar Rebecca Parker reminds me that your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. I can choose to curse the world or to bless the world. Those are my choices. And Lord knows, I have sometimes cursed the world without stopping to question my right to do so. So why can't I choose to bless it? And how can I choose to bless it unless there is something that flowers from within of self-blessing, unless there's a river flowing in my soul telling me that I'm somebody, unless there is something that assures me that I have a blessing to bestow, a light to shine, a song to sing. One of the unfortunate but helpful lessons from junior high was that dehumanization, however casually carried out, spreads to infect everyone in its wake, unless there is that which flowers from within of self-blessing. Unless there is an awareness of beauty sufficient to challenge the ugliness. Unless there are those willing to teach and reteach people, victims and perpetrators, their loveliness. Noticing, witnessing, testifying to beauty, this is not frivolous work. At our best, we here nurture within ourselves the awareness of beauty and thus also open ourselves to that which is hard, that which is tragic, that which is unjust. Choosing to bless the world means that we have committed ourselves to action. To see the light within, we must uncover it and let it shine. Finding compassion for ourselves, nurturing love at our center, means we will share that love with others, as love does not exist in isolation. And all of that together causes us to dare to believe that what we do matters, even though how and when it may matter, who and what it may impact are not things we can know beforehand. It means risking having hope. Cannell's poem that you heard in the reading, St. Francis and the Sow. St. Francis of Assisi, who is said to have a special connection to animals, and all of nature, reteaches this animal its loveliness by putting his hand on the creased forehead of the sow and telling her in works and in touch blessings of earth on the sow. Telling this creature in works and in touch that you are somebody, that affirmation of dignity traveling through its great broken heart like love. Though my extended family is decidedly not Catholic, the stories about St. Francis made the leap into Lutheranism without too much trouble, and so I like to think that they would love the light humor, the earthiness, the literal groundedness of this poem's picture of self-blessing. As much as they may have argued against the concept, they are a part of that which flowers within me. They help me to find a light within. They contributed to my song, and they remind me that whatever I think self-blessing is, it is decidedly not all about me. It is about choosing to bless the world. Rebecca Parker writes, the choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention of doing good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. There is an embrace of kindness that encompasses all life, even yours. So may it be.
The morning offering will now be given and received. Please remember that we are a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for our many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you are viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on the screen. Thank you. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the closing hymn, This Little Light of Mine, number 118.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, well, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. We extinguish this chalice, and we know that the light of truth and love and the warmth of this community go with us again. Please extinguish your chalice at home now. Now the fun part. Let's all join a circle and join hands.
In the spirit of our Universalist ancestor, John Murray, go forth into the highways and the byways of your life. You have a light to share, let it shine. Share the beauty that is you. Give them not hell, but hope, courage, and kindness. So may it be. Good to be with you.
Thank you, Ron.